looks like Israel wants a war. I mean, the messages that were sent yesterday and the day before in those thousands of devices was a very clear message. Israel wants a war, and maybe even a regional war. There's no other possible explanation for this.
I mean, it's almost a year since the Hamas attacks. The hostages are still not home, by and large. The northern residents on the border with Lebanon are still displaced. These are the justifications that the Israeli government is using. Is anyone buying that?
In Israel, yes. Most of the Israelis are still supporting this war. But it's quite astonishing that after this war, which didn't achieve anything for Israel, as you rightly say, Kathy, nothing was achieved for Israel. Israel is today in a much worse condition than before this war. And still Israel wants more of the same, another war, to solve another problem with another war, and only by war. It's really a very, very sick mindset. Instead of drawing the conclusion, we had now a war in Gaza, which was a catastrophe for both sides. The natural thing would have been, maybe we can't solve everything by wars. No, you see Israel now running to the north in order to create even a worse war, because a war in Lebanon will make the war in Gaza as a summer camp. Don't be wrong about this.
Really? So is there any possibility of averting that larger war, an even greater catastrophe, if that's possible?
I don't know how. I wish I could tell you a scenario. I don't know how. Israel is very tough about it. Israel is not ready to stop the war in Gaza. Hezbollah declared clearly, and today again, Nasrallah repeated it, that the key is stopping the war in Gaza and obviously pulling out the troops from Gaza. Israel is not ready for this. In other words, Israel wants war with Lebanon.
I mean, Israel has reportedly submitted a new ceasefire proposal, but I mean, the events of this week put paid to that, don't they?
The events of this week, and I guess you referred to those two attacks in Lebanon, they are really wonderful for a nice Hollywood film. But when you really check it, I mean, it's really impressive. Israel knows everything and knows to find everyone. By the end of the day, two things must be said seriously. First of all, nobody knows what did Israel gain out of it. And secondly, by the end of the day, let's remember that those were terrorist actions. It was within civilian population. It's true that not many were killed, but you know, when people are being exploded in middle of markets, if the Palestinians or the Hezbollah would have done it, Israel would shout, terror, terror. So it is terror.
And when you look at the civilians killed and children as well, where does that leave Israel in the eyes of the world?
Oh, this you don't need to wait for this. The world saw this last year in Gaza and draw the conclusions. The only problem is that the Israelis didn't see this year in Gaza because the media in Israel hardly show it to them. And the Israelis are still believing, most of them, if not all of them, that their army is the most moral army in the world and that we have the justification to do whatever we want after the atrocities of the 7th of October, which is totally wrong.
Hezbollah is now saying that it will mount a crushing response. Is there a lot of fear about what that will mean and what that will look like?
There is a concern. I wouldn't say fear, but there is a growing concern. But this concern follows us for the last year, each time from a different direction. There is a very heavy cloud over our heads of all of us Israelis. Some take it to fear, others take it to shame, others take it to really being concerned, and others see all this as an opportunity. Many Israelis, even tonight, speak about another war in Lebanon as an opportunity. After all the wars that Israel launched, and none of them brought Israel any kind of achievements, security, or anything else, Again, Israel wants another war. It's really hard to understand it.
Gideon Levy, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.